All right, welcome to the Teach Me Strength podcast. Donovan is behind the camera, and he is going to ask me random questions. I don't know what they are, but they're from a friend, and I guess we have never covered this topic, so I'm going in completely blind. All right, Donovan, you're the MC. What's our first question?
Hello, everyone. So this is from my friend Elijah. He has been a natural bodybuilder for the past 5 or 6 years.
Are you sure he's natural?
Yes, I am. He's natural, but he had some questions for us. So his first question is going to be, how do you balance body weight, performance, and muscle gains?
Is he saying this for jumping or
Correct,
for
yeah, for jumping.
So he's asking, how do you not gain too much muscle, essentially, is what he's
Right,
asking?
and then also, but how do you make sure you're maintaining strength, but also peaking performance? He's asking, how does it kind of all tie in?
Okay, so unlike bodybuilding, where the only goal is hypertrophy, and you can use strength as a way to propagate hypertrophy, you use more different types of training cycles to achieve multiple goals at one time. Because jump training is not just how big you can get, you have a bunch of other things that determine your success in it. So for example, if you're a jumper, then you need to be powerful, you need to be fast, you need to be strong, you need to have a good mobility. You don't really need to have any of those things for bodybuilding. Technically, you just need to be big. You don't even have to be strong. You could be super weak, but if you're the biggest guy, then this is hypothetical. It's not necessarily true because they go hand in hand, but you don't need it. Your success in the sport isn't determined by that. So for us, we meet those demands multiple ways, and the ultimate outcome is how high you jump. So every athlete is going to be vastly different when it comes to their jump performance relative to their muscle mass, their strength levels, their elasticity. How we do it is we use long conjugate sequence systems. So what this essentially means is you're dealing with a bunch of different goals at one time. So for example, month one, your biggest goal might be hypertrophy, but it's not just hypertrophy for the sake of hypertrophy. It's hypertrophy as a response to doing high volumes and handling high volumes so that when you get to more intense work, you're prepared for it. Your work capacity is higher. You're not going to get fatigued from doing 6 sets of 2 because you've done 5 sets of 10. So 6 sets of 2 is going to be relatively easy. Yeah, it's at a higher percentage, but you're going to be able to handle that a lot better. Now, what is an unintended consequence of doing 5 by 10? Well, you're going to get muscle hypertrophy. So it's not necessarily that we're trying to have hypertrophy happen. It's that hypertrophy is an unintended consequence of preparing you for max strength.
Inducing fatigue on purpose.
Yeah, you will. Wait, reword that. What are you saying?
You said hypertrophy is a consequence of doing higher volumes for the purpose of inducing fatigue.
Yes.
Fatigue.
Yeah. It's you're going to get the training fatigue, but more so for adaptation. Right?
Exactly.
Fatigue is going to happen no matter what. If you're training, you're going to build up training fatigue, and how fast you dissipate that, that's neither here nor there. But max strength is not, hypertrophy is not the goal. It's just something that happens when you inevitably will be doing very high volume work or very high intense weight room work. Isaiah's mass has changed. When I first started coaching him, he weighed 171 pounds, and we looked at this the other day, or actually today. The other day it was 187. So let's assume his body fat percentage maybe went up a few points. I mean, he's probably gained 13 to 14 pounds of hopefully type 2 volume, cross-sectional area. How do we know it's type 2 volume of cross-sectional area? Because we have high intent in the things that we do. That's the goal, that's the outcome. It's not necessarily, we don't have, not ultrasound, but biopsy to verify that, but that's what should happen, and that's the goal adaptation that you should see.
And then this is a 3-part question. Second part is lighter body weight, he says, probably means higher vertical, true. But when does too low start to impair your gains?
Okay, so the first assumption is lighter always better, and that's not necessarily always true. You don't necessarily want to be so light where your relative, we'll call it dynamic elasticity, goes, maybe you could call it dynamic elastic power or something like that, goes down. So that relative elastic ability has to get better. And so if you're getting, smaller and you're losing functional muscle mass, that's going to have a negative outcome. Real quick, if you're interested in coaching and having this happen, go to teachmestrength.com. We offer one-on-one coaching where we have coaches around the clock answering all your questions. You can send videos for analysis in the group chat. We're currently working on making this a way better product as well, so you guys can look forward to that, as well as having yours truly write each program. Yes, each week I sit down and you can ask these guys for hours.
Watch them every weekend.
And I write hundreds and hundreds of programs. So you'll give us our information. You'll tell us if you have knee pain, you don't have knee pain, what your vertical is, what your weightlifting, kind of history is, and then we'll give you a program, and then we'll go in and adjust that and make it more individualized for you in the chat. So if you have questions, you need more individuality, ask questions in the chat, let us know, we'll answer you, and we'll adjust it.
And
all right.
I kind of like what you said too, because he also said, is it kind of just about finding a pinpoint between all the things?
Hold the mic closer to your face, what'd you say?
He said, is it just about finding a pinpoint between them all? And you just mentioned it is. You don't want to be too light. You want to be heavy enough to where you can maintain.
Yeah, so like in your case, you're like an interesting case because...
Too much right now. But
yeah, you've essentially gained, 25 pounds or 35 pounds at one point of muscle over the last 2 years or so. So is it good? Is it bad? Great question. Where's the mass at? What type of mass is it? Is it fat mass? Is it muscle mass? If it's fat mass, that's bad. That's always bad. Fat mass is never good. It basically, when people ask how lean do I have to be, as lean as you possibly can. Dick skin shredded is better than not dick skin shredded. That's always going to be the goal. So the problem that a lot of people run into is well, how do I do that while still gaining muscle mass, right? And the key is to eat just barely in surplus. And oftentimes the other key is to train your way to recomp. So when I do DEXA scans on people, and I just had a guy, Amruth, he recomped. He lost, I think 4 or 5 pounds of fat mass, maybe more, and gained 3 or 4 pounds of muscle mass. And that was in a 90-day period or maybe 100-day period. So if you hit the volumes intensely, you will lose fat mass and you will gain muscle mass. And I think all of us across the board have seen that. How you can offset that is if you eat so shittily that it doesn't matter. So if you're Isaiah, for example, the last 2 months, he's been crushing a 700-calorie bowl of cereal 5 times a day. So yes, he might be hitting, and his training intensity and volume, his intensity was high, but his volume was low. So it doesn't matter if you're doing 5 by 10 at 70%. If you're eating 3,000 calories of cereal, 3,500 calories of cereal on top of a normal eating schedule, you're going to get some fat mass and probably some muscle mass too, but you look at the outcome to see if that's good or bad. In some cases, that might be good for someone. If they're really, really light and their power outputs increase way more relative to their weight, right? But in his case, that didn't happen, right? He's just gaining a little bit of fat mass, storing up a ton of carbs, gaining upper body mass. It's just a negative outcome.
And then the third part to this question is, which you kind of already dived into a little bit, but if you want to just briefly recap it, do you guys ever lift to gain muscle specifically? Just gain muscle?
Not as a sole outcome. So he might because he's a bro. Dom might because he's a bro, and I might because I'm a little bit of a bro. Donovan's a little bit of a bro with our upper body, but not purely for the sake of performance. More mass is not better just for the sake of having mass. When you're looking at the force production of a muscle, you're looking at the cross-sectional area and you're looking at your nervous system being able to recruit the motor units to recruit the muscles to apply force really, really fast, essentially. So if you're just getting mass for the sake of getting mass, but it's non-functional, then it's probably going to be pretty limited in the way that you use it when you go to jump or sprint or do anything. So gaining mass for the sake of gaining mass is not good. However, if you're 10 months out from when you want to jump high, or you're 4 years out or 2 years out, there was an Olympic athlete that called me yesterday that needed some consulting on tendons. And he's like, I'm doing bodybuilding right now, just general bodybuilding. Why would he be doing that? Well, because he's going for the 2028 games, and he just qualified, and competed in world championships, went to the Olympics. So he's trying to benefit from the other adaptations that happen as a result of getting more muscle mass. It's not just get more muscle mass to get more muscle mass. You need force. Force is all that matters. So yes, if you get bigger muscles, because cross-sectional area is how you generate more force, then yes, it's a benefit to you.
That's kind of what.
But you see a lot of bodybuilders that we would outlift every single time in things like RDLs or deep squats or stuff like that. Why? Because it's type 1 fiber.
So
it might not be type 2 fiber. They're actually hypertrophying.
The long kind of, or the summarized answer is kind of, if the gaining muscle comes as a byproduct of increasing performance, then yes.
Yes,
it's
correct.
all right. Yeah,
exactly. So, but if you're just gaining it irrespective of that, you're going to get worse. And that's kind of what I would argue in some cases happened to you with upper body, is like you're just gaining mass irrespective of gains in performance. So like I've seen coaches do it where they'll drop, like they'll have bodybuilding circuits in year round to improve work capacity. That's a benefit to doing it. We're not doing it to get bigger. We're doing it because if I do 30 seconds of curls, I'm going to build some muscular endurance while I do that. If I do 30 seconds of closed-toe squats, I'm going to build some muscular endurance. There's also going to be benefits to the tendon. We know when muscles hypertrophy, tendons also hypertrophy. You're also building the capacity of the tendon. If you can handle doing that and doing 3 days a week of squats and power cleans, you're also building your capacity even further. So
you're going to perform a lot better if you can do all that.
Yeah, exactly. And you're probably going to lose fat mass, which we know is bad. And then what they'll do is close to the season, they'll cut all of the upper body and lower body hypertrophy workout, increase the intensity, which increases specificity, which increases the transfer of training. So you're going to end up performing better because your specificity is higher and there's a higher transfer to performance.
And then last part of it, do you two want to add anything?
Oh, yeah.
John and Dom.
Yeah.
Josh and Dom.
Yeah, what do you want to add? Take the talking stick, the talking wrench.
Right now, in my current state of training, I am trying to gain weight and get stronger and get bigger. I realize that this will probably have a negative effect on my vertical.
And you think that's worth it?
Yes, because I want to bench press 405 pounds.
What did you do today?
I bench press 340 pounds. I want to bench press people's squats for just to say I did it.
Are you
And still be able to dunk.
Do you plan on still maintaining your vertical at right around 44 inches while having a 405 bench press?
That would be lovely if that stayed, but do I think it's going to the size that I have to get to bench press 405?
I think you do it. You just
It's
have to get your
potent.
legs
I just gotta
stronger
be.
in unison.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
agree.
it's stay tuned. Josh Rubel
Tap
on
in.
YouTube. I will post all my lifts, and on Instagram, Josh Dunks.
His knees might explode, but
All right, Dom. Dom, did you have to say anything?
For my experience, I'm trying to lose fat, gain muscle, and just replace that so I could stay lean and be more powerful.
what you should do.
Yeah.
That's what you should do. That's solid advice.
You should always be recomping. And especially in Dom's case, because like Dom has a lot of mass on his quads and his ass, but his hamstrings, minimal, upper body, minimal. Like he would probably be someone that when he has more muscle mass, there's going to be, again, unintended consequences. What's going to happen if he has more muscle? Well, his relative percent body fat will probably drop, assuming his fat stays the same, and he's in a very slight caloric surplus or deficit. You can recomp, in my experience, in both of those scenarios. It doesn't happen the way that you think. It's not like muscles replacing fat. It's sometimes you're anabolic, you'll gain muscle, and then sometimes you're catabolic if you're really strategic with your caloric intake and your macronutrients. It is very hard to do. So in his case, he's going to benefit from that. Someone like Donovan is going to benefit from getting stronger because that's a deficit for him, and hopefully not having his mass climb up too much. The problem is he has so much testosterone that he is a mega responder to resistance training when it comes to gaining weight. So for him, it's better to be in maybe even a little bit more of a caloric deficit, so he actually loses fat. Even if he loses a little bit of muscle, he's still probably going to jump higher because rate of force development is not solely determined by the size of the muscle. And your elasticity is not solely determined by the size of the muscle. It's determined by your nervous system. That's why high jumpers can fly.
I'm going to throw this in here just at the end real quick. This doesn't have to be long at all. I think there's a common misconception out there among some coaches that you can increase the amount of type 2 fibers you have.
You cannot.
What can you do?
You can increase the cross-sectional, you can increase the size,
Right.
but not the number. The only way, so there's hyperplasia and hypertrophy. Hypertrophy is the size of a muscle, so you can only increase the size of type 2 fibers with high intent.
Not the amount.
Not the amount. So let's say Donovan has 100,000 fast twitch fibers. He's always going to have 100,000 fast twitch fibers. I might only have 65,000, but I can get the size of my 65,000 way bigger. So if we were to put me in a blender and split up all the muscle fibers, then the total weight of my type 2 fibers could be hypothetically the same as him. It wouldn't, but that's your goal. You want the weight of your type 2 fibers.
Josh,
to be
you
as
had
heavy
something
as
to add?
possible.
I saw you raising your hand.
I have no idea how true this is, but I saw something like some strong man actually does get hyperplasia. Like he's got some. Is that
Steroids.
Oh, steroids.
Steroids, yeah. So steroids cause hyperplasia. you get more satellite cells, and the satellite cells end up essentially causing hyperplasia. So
Let's just do that.
if
Don't
you
they
get
attach
there's
on?
also if you
Don't they
get
attach
so
onto
big, like there's also like a limited research where if you get so freaking big, like huge, you will potentially have hyperplasia. But I'm talking like not something that we would want. And it probably might not even be type 2 fibers. The hyperplasia might be type 1 fibers. Like you might be getting more of them, but it might not even be a favorable ratio. Like you might increase your type 1 fibers more than you increase your type 2 fibers. But steroids do increase the number of muscle fibers. And that adaptation never goes away. So when people are on steroids, they always have the benefit of steroids for the rest of their life. That's why I don't think like it's like, I'm natty, but I took it for a little bit. No, dude, you will have those benefits for the rest of your life. The rest of your life, you'll have those benefits.
And then you said earlier, I remember you mentioned if people want like help with coaching and stuff, they can go somewhere.
Yeah, if you want to go get help with coaching, go to teachmestrength.com. Sign up. It's $12 for your first month to try it out. We're not looking for, flaky people. So if you're a flake,
Absolutely not.
don't do it. I think Josh and Donovan had a rant today about one of those flaky individuals.
Flakers.
Some flaky flakes.
Yeah, don't tweak out on us.
Don't tweak out on us. All right, see you guys. Bye.